The Vetraxian homeworld, Siraxis, lay nestled within a spiral arm of the galaxy, far from the bustling trade routes and military strongholds of other interstellar civilizations. Siraxis was a jewel of a planet rich in hues of lavender and emerald, with rivers of silvery liquid winding their way through forests of crystalline trees that shimmered under a soft golden sun. The Vetraxians, renowned for their peaceful ways, had lived harmoniously on this world for millennia, nurturing their unique culture and maintaining a steadfast commitment to pacifism. Their alliance with humanity was built on mutual respect, trust, and shared values of cooperation and intellectual growth. At least, that was what the humans had always believed. The Vetraxians were a delicate species, both in form and spirit. Their slender, almost translucent bodies pulsed with an internal bioluminescent glow that grew brighter in moments of heightened emotion. With wide, expressive eyes and a calm demeanor, they were the embodiment of tranquility, and their diplomatic efforts were legendary across the galaxy. Even the most battle-hardened species found the Vetraxians disarming their presence exuded a kind of peace that many found contagious. But beneath this peaceful exterior lay a complex history of survival and adaptation. While the Vetraxians had maintained peace with their neighbors, they were not naive. They understood that peace, in a galaxy filled with unpredictable and often hostile species, sometimes required hidden measures of defense. For centuries, the Vetraxians had quietly prepared for the worst-case scenario, a weaponized invasion or a betrayal by one of their allies. As much as they believed in the goodness of humanity, they couldn't ignore the tales of human warfare or their impressive track record in galactic conflicts. Despite humanity's warmth and respect for peace, their penchant for sudden, overwhelming force made the Vetraxians cautious. While they welcomed humans as allies, they never fully let down their guard. In secret, they developed an arsenal hidden deep within the vast caverns of Siraxis, shielded from detection by advanced cloaking technology and hidden in remote parts of the planet. This arsenal contained the latest Vetraxian advancements in weaponry, devastating energy projectors, quantum destabilizers, and defensive drones with artificial intelligence that could operate independently of Vetraxian command. To maintain the secrecy of this hidden cache, the Vetraxian government had constructed elaborate decoy facilities across Siraxis, each designed to appear like research stations for agriculture or medical technology. No one outside the highest echelons of the Vetraxian government knew of the true purpose of these facilities. Even among the Vetraxian people, only a select few were aware of the arsenal's existence. It was not a matter of pride for them, in fact. The secret was something of a moral dilemma. The Vetraxian leaders were acutely aware of the hypocrisy in their actions, but they justified it as a necessary evil. They told themselves that the arsenal would never be used offensively, it was there only as a last resort, a safeguard in the event that diplomacy and goodwill failed. All was well until a human delegation was invited to Siraxis as part of an ongoing cultural exchange program. The delegation, led by Captain Lila Torres, was composed of scientists, diplomats, and a few members of the United Earth Defense Force. The mission was simple: learn more about Vetraxian culture, share human knowledge, and strengthen the alliance between the two species. The human delegation had no reason to suspect that anything was amiss. They viewed the Vetraxians as paragons of peace and humility. Their admiration for Vetraxian culture was genuine, and Captain Torres herself had spoken at length about her respect for the Vetraxian way of life, even questioning why humanity could not embrace a similar path. On the third day of their visit, Captain Torres and a small team of scientists were granted permission to explore one of the Vetraxian research outposts, ostensibly dedicated to agricultural advancements. Their Vetraxian hosts guided them through the facility, showcasing their innovative techniques for sustainable farming and genetic modification of crops suited for the unique conditions on Siraxis. The humans were fascinated, noting the profound respect the Vetraxians held for every organism they cultivated, treating their agricultural practices as an extension of their pacifistic philosophy. However, as the tour continued, one of the human scientists, Dr. Aaron Blake, noticed something peculiar. A series of doors near the back of the facility were marked with symbols that didn't align with the agricultural focus of the facility. He didn't think much of it at first, attributing it to the unfamiliarity of the Vetraxian language, but something about the layout seemed. "Captain Torres, do you notice how these corridors loop around?" he whispered, feigning interest in a display of alien grains to avoid suspicion from their hosts. Torres nodded subtly, casting a casual glance around the corridor. "I see it. Feels more like a bunker than a research lab, doesn't it?" Intrigued, Dr. Blake suggested to their hosts that they would like to examine the environmental control systems, claiming it would help them better understand how the Vetraxians managed their unique biospheres. The Vetraxians hesitated, their bioluminescent glow dimming slightly a sign of discomfort. After a brief, whispered exchange between the Vetraxian guides, permission was granted, though with a visible reluctance. As the humans moved deeper into the facility, the corridors grew narrower, the air heavier with a strange metallic scent. They passed by several sealed doors with warning signs displayed in the Vetraxian script. Dr. Blake's curiosity was piqued, and he activated a scanning device on his wrist, discreetly running it over one of the doors. The device returned an unexpected reading high levels of latent energy, the kind typically associated with weapon-grade technology. Torres caught sight of his display and raised an eyebrow. "Agricultural research, huh?" Blake smirked, trying to mask his growing unease. "This place is hiding something big. We need to know what it is." Their Vetraxian guide sensed the humans' rising interest and attempted to steer them back to the main area of the facility, but Torres was undeterred. Feigning an interest in a nearby panel, she activated her translator and, under the guise of asking a technical question, casually leaned against the door. It slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a dimly lit chamber beyond. Inside, the humans saw row upon row of metallic cylinders, each one emanating a faint, ominous glow. The walls were lined with intricate control panels, and in the center of the room stood a large holographic display showing a map of Syraxis. As Torres and her team moved closer, they realized that the map was overlaid with symbols indicating various hidden sites across the planet. Each symbol marked a location similar to the one they were standing in. Concealed within the heart of the peaceful Vetraxian Empire was a network of high-tech weapon caches. The Vetraxian guides, seeing that their secret was now uncovered, lowered their heads in shame. Their bioluminescent glow faded to a dim, sorrowful hue, and one of them, a senior diplomat named Kellis, spoke in a trembling voice. "We never intended for you to see this. Please, understand. We did not build these weapons to harm. They are insurance, nothing more. A precaution against threats we cannot predict." Torres looked around the room, a mixture of shock and disappointment etched across her face. "You hid this from us. After all the trust we've built, the alliances, the treaties. How could you keep something like this hidden?" Kellis's glow pulsed faintly, a visible sign of his distress. "Captain, we are not warriors. Our people have lived in peace for thousands of years. But in this galaxy, even the most peaceful species cannot survive without some means of defense. We have seen the destructive power that other species, including humans, can wield. We feared that one day even our alliance might not be enough to protect us." Torres took a deep breath, trying to process the betrayal she felt. She understood the Vetraxians' fear but could not shake the sting of their deception. "You don't trust us," she said quietly. "You never have." Kellis hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Perhaps we underestimated the strength of your goodwill, Captain. Our leaders believed that revealing our arsenal would only sow discord and mistrust. It was an error in judgment, I see that now. But you must understand. We only wanted to protect our people." For a long, tense moment, the humans and Vetraxians stood in silence, the weight of the revelation settling heavily over them. The humans had come to Syraxis expecting to strengthen their alliance, to learn from the wisdom of a species that embodied the ideals of peace. Now, They were faced with the realization that even the most pacifistic species held a hidden arsenal, driven by fear and the harsh realities of survival in a dangerous galaxy. As Torres stared at the weapon cache before her, she couldn't help but wonder what this revelation would mean for humanity's alliance with the Vetraxians. The foundation of trust had been shaken, and the peaceful veneer of Siraxis had cracked to reveal the complexities and compromises lurking beneath. The chapter ended not with resolution, but with the lingering tension of unanswered questions and the uncertain path that lay ahead. Captain Lila Torres left the hidden chamber in silence, her team following behind, glancing back uneasily at the Vetraxians who stood in solemn silence, their dim bioluminescent glow casting eerie shadows on the walls. The humans had come to Siraxis expecting enlightenment, a shared understanding of the Vetraxians' advanced agricultural techniques and sustainable energy solutions. Instead, they had stumbled upon a cold, metal truth that gnawed at them with a sense of betrayal and unease. Once outside the facility, the humans gathered under the expansive, alien night sky. The gentle lavender light from Siraxis' two moons bathed the landscape in an almost ethereal glow, and the serene beauty of the scene stood in stark contrast to the disquiet churning within the delegation. They were silent for a moment, looking at one another, letting the reality of their discovery sink in. Captain Torres broke the silence first. "I know what everyone's thinking," she said, looking around at her team. "We came here for an exchange to build trust, and instead, we find hidden weapons. We were naive, perhaps, to think that the Vetraxians would be different. But we have to ask ourselves why." Dr. Aaron Blake, the scientist who had noticed the unusual energy readings, nodded thoughtfully. "I understand their need for security, Captain. They've seen what other species are capable of. Still, why keep it a secret from us, their closest allies? If they're afraid of other threats in the galaxy, shouldn't they trust us enough to work together on a mutual defense strategy?" Torres sighed, watching the distant outline of the Vetraxian facility. "Maybe. Or maybe they've seen too many alliances fail in this galaxy. It's hard to know. But either way, we need answers. This discovery can't go unanswered." The delegation agreed. Early the next morning, they requested a private meeting with Kellis, the Vetraxian diplomat who had guided them. Kellis, visibly uncomfortable and somewhat guarded, led them to a secluded room in the diplomatic compound. There, with the two species seated across from each other, the humans felt a palpable sense of tension that had not been there before. For the first time, the wide-eyed, serene Vetraxians seemed vulnerable, their expressions a mixture of apprehension and regret. Kellis began, his voice soft but steady. "Captain Torres, esteemed members of the human delegation, I know you feel betrayed by what you have seen. I ask that you hear us out, that you try to understand why we made this choice." Torres nodded, folding her hands in front of her. "That's all we're asking for, Kellis. Understanding. But I have to be honest, finding that arsenal in the heart of your peaceful society it's unsettling." Kellis's bioluminescent glow flickered, a sign of inner conflict. The galaxy is vast and dangerous. Many of us remember a time when Siraxis was a haven for those fleeing from war and destruction. We were once known as the last bastion of peace, a place where no violence or weapon was allowed. But the galaxy has changed. We watched as empires fell, as allies turned on each other. Even your own people, Captain. While we respect your commitment to peace, your history is filled with wars and struggles for dominance. How could we trust any alliance completely?" Dr. Blake interjected, his tone diplomatic yet probing. "You say that you're committed to peace, yet you build these weapons in secret. If you wanted to defend yourselves, why not be open about it? Why hide it from us, your allies?" Kellis hesitated, his glow dimming further. Because we feared that revealing such things would only inspire distrust. We worried that our peaceful reputation would be questioned, that our own people would lose faith in our commitment to pacifism. And, truthfully, we feared how humanity might react. Torres leaned forward, her gaze piercing. "But isn't secrecy more dangerous? What if another species discovered your arsenal and took it as a threat? Or worse, what if this information leaked to the galactic councils? Do you realize what kind of diplomatic disaster that could create? The Vetraxian diplomat lowered his head, visibly distressed. Yes, we realize that now, but it was a risk we thought we could manage. We underestimated the complications and the consequences. The room fell silent. The humans and Vetraxians sat in quiet contemplation, both sides wrestling with the difficult truths of diplomacy and trust. After a moment, Torres spoke again, her tone softer. Kellis, you know as well as I do that the galaxy is an unforgiving place. We have faced threats, and so have you. But trust is our only hope for real peace. If we can't be open with each other, then what kind of alliance is this? Kellis looked up, his wide, reflective eyes meeting hers. You're right, Captain. This experience has shown us the limitations of our approach. We thought secrecy was our only option, but perhaps transparency would have served us better. Captain Torres took a deep breath. Ben looked around at her team. She saw the disappointment in their faces, the desire for answers, but also the understanding that came from years of shared missions and battles. They had been through a lot together, and now they faced a new kind of challenge, one that was more about ideals and trust than technology or brute strength. Turning back to Kellis, Torres asked, "So, what now? How do we move forward from this?" Kellis's glow pulsed a faint green, a Vetraxian sign of renewed hope. "I will take your concerns to our council. They must understand the gravity of what has happened here and consider a new path forward. Perhaps it is time we opened our doors fully to humanity, shared not only our strengths but our vulnerabilities. If we are to survive in this galaxy, we cannot do so alone, and certainly not under a guise of secrecy." Torres nodded. "That's a start. We'll be here to help you work through this, to support you in a transparent alliance. But Kellis," she added, her voice stern, "any further deception, and this alliance is over. We can't build a future on lies." Kellis nodded, the sincerity in his eyes evident. "Agreed. We will find a way forward together, for the sake of our people and the peace we both seek." With the meeting concluded, Torres and her team returned to their quarters, where they discussed the day's revelations at length. The Vetraxians' decision to keep a hidden arsenal was understandable, given the hostile nature of the galaxy. Yet, it underscored the fundamental dilemma of interstellar alliances. Could peace ever truly be achieved when every species lived in fear of betrayal? After a restless night, Captain Torres received an unexpected message from Kellis. He requested that the humans accompany him to the Vetraxian Council chambers, where he would present their findings and plead for a change in Vetraxian policy. It was an unprecedented invitation. No humans had ever been allowed to witness the proceedings of the Council, much less participate in them. As they entered the Council chambers, Torres and her team found themselves surrounded by Vetraxian elders, each with bioluminescent patterns unique to their family lineage and rank. The atmosphere was tense, the elders' glows shifting in a spectrum of colors as they observed the human guests. The room was designed in a semicircle around a central platform where Kellis now stood, his bioluminescent glow dimmed, indicating his humility before the council. The eldest Vetraxian, a dignified figure known as hfy:Science, raised his hand for silence. His presence commanded respect, and his glow was a steady, deep blue. "Kellis," he began in a voice filled with authority, "we understand you bring grave news. Explain yourself." Kellis took a deep breath, visibly gathering his courage. "Honored Council, I stand here to address an error, a serious miscalculation on our part. Yesterday, our human allies discovered the arsenal we have hidden within Siraxis, an arsenal that defies our very values of peace and transparency. I confess that I, along with others in our government, thought it necessary to hide these weapons, fearing that revealing them would damage our alliance and tarnish our reputation as a peace-loving people." A murmur spread through the council chamber, the elders' glows shifting to hues of shock and concern. Harvick's glow remained steady, but his expression was grave. "And yet, hiding these weapons has already damaged our alliance, has it not?" Kellis nodded, his glow dimming in shame. Yes, honored Elder. Captain Torres and her team have expressed their disappointment and distrust. We risk losing humanity as allies if we continue down this path of secrecy. At this, Harvix turned his gaze toward Captain Torres, his reflective eyes scrutinizing her. Captain Torres, is this true? Do humans find it impossible to trust a species that has resorted to secrecy for its own survival? Torres stood, meeting Harvix's gaze with a calm resolve. We understand your fears, Elder Harvix. We understand the challenges of maintaining peace in a galaxy that often resists it. But trust cannot thrive in darkness. For our alliance to mean anything, for peace to be more than a word, we must be open with each other. The chamber fell silent as her words echoed through the space. The Vetraxian elders seemed to be considering her statement, their glows flickering in shades of uncertainty. Finally, Harvix spoke, his tone thoughtful. Captain Torres, we value the alliance we have with humanity. We have learned much from your people and respect your commitment to cooperation. Perhaps we allowed our own fears to guide us down a path that was unwise. Perhaps it is time for us to embrace a different kind of strength, the strength to trust. The council exchanged glances, and one by one, the elders nodded, their glows shifting to a harmonious green, symbolizing unity. Harvix turned back to Torres, his expression softened. Captain, we will dismantle our hidden arsenals, with your assistance, if you are willing. And we will disclose all aspects of our defense systems to your government, so that we may move forward in true partnership. Torres's expression softened, a sense of relief washing over her. We would be honored to assist, Elder Harvix. Together, I believe we can create a new model for interstellar alliances, one based on transparency and mutual respect. The Vetraxians bowed, their glows now pulsing with renewed hope and trust. For the first time, Torres felt that their alliance might truly become what they had always envisioned, a beacon of peace in a galaxy shadowed by suspicion and fear. With the historic decision made by the Vetraxian Council, preparations began to dismantle the hidden weapon caches on Siraxis. This process, however, was not simply a logistical task, it was a symbolic act of trust, and a testament to the Alliance's renewed commitment to transparency. The cooperation between the humans and Vetraxians was unprecedented, marking a new chapter in their shared history. Captain Torres and her team, now entrusted with a unique responsibility, remained on Siraxis to oversee the process. The dismantling was no small feat. Advanced technology, both in cloaking and weaponry, had been hidden deep within the remote caverns and forests of the Vetraxian homeworld. The discovery of each hidden arsenal brought with it a new mix of emotions: awe at the sophistication of the Vetraxians' technology, relief at seeing the weapons dismantled, and a lingering sense of melancholy as the Alliance members pondered the depth of the fear that had led to such extreme measures. Torres was acutely aware of the weight of this moment, not just for her team but for the entire galaxy. If word got out that even the peaceful Vetraxians had maintained a hidden arsenal, other species might question their own alliances. Yet she also understood that this very act of dismantling held the potential to be an example, a message of peace that could resonate far beyond the Vetraxian homeworld. As they worked, she and her team were joined by Kellis and other Vetraxian diplomats, as well as a contingent of Vetraxian scientists and engineers who had designed the cloaking systems and weaponry. The process was meticulous and delicate, requiring a blend of Vetraxian expertise and human resourcefulness. Though the initial tension between the species lingered, the shared labor gradually began to foster an atmosphere of mutual respect and camaraderie. A few weeks into the dismantling process, the Vetraxian Council announced a public ceremony to honor the commitment to transparency. This event would be broadcast across the galaxy, sending a clear message of the Alliance's intentions. The entire galaxy, from neighboring star systems to distant colonies, would witness the symbolic dismantling of one of the primary weapon caches, a powerful gesture toward building interstellar trust. The day of the ceremony dawned with a renewed sense of purpose. The Vetraxians and humans gathered in one of Siraxis's grand plazas, a sprawling open space adorned with tall crystalline structures that reflected the light of Siraxis's twin suns. Thousands of Vetraxians filled the plaza, their bioluminescent glows a spectrum of serene colors, while human representatives, dressed in diplomatic uniforms, stood solemnly among them. The mood was solemn yet hopeful, a rare blend of regret for past secrecy and optimism for the future. Elder Harvix, the dignified leader of the Vetraxian Council, took to the central platform, his glow a steady green, the color of trust and unity. As he addressed the crowd, his voice carried the weight of centuries of Vetraxian ideals and a newfound openness. Today, Harvix began, we dismantle more than just technology, we dismantle our fear. We stand here before the galaxy, not to celebrate our weapons, but to show our willingness to let go of them, to believe in the strength of trust rather than the strength of arms. In this moment, we choose transparency, we choose partnership, and we choose a new way forward. Captain Torres, standing at his side, felt a profound sense of pride. She realized this was more than a victory for humanity or Vetraxia, it was a victory for the ideals they both held dear. She was given the honor of pressing the activation button that would disarm the cache. With a simple touch, the weapons systems began to power down, and the cloaking fields were deactivated. The crowd watched in silence as the once secret arsenal was revealed in full view, its powerful energy fading away, its purpose repurposed. The ceremony left an indelible mark on all who witnessed it, a testament to the courage it took to put aside fear and secrecy in favor of open alliance. Word spread quickly across the galaxy and reactions were swift. Diplomatic messages of support arrived from other species, praising the alliance's courage and commitment to peace. There were even reports of other star systems considering similar moves toward demilitarization. The ceremony's impact was far-reaching, sparking discussions among governments, civil societies, and intergalactic councils about the potential for real peace. A few days after the ceremony, the human delegation received an unexpected invitation from the Vetraxian Council. Elder Harvix had requested a private meeting with Captain Torres to discuss an urgent matter of great consequence. Torres felt a twinge of apprehension, but also a strong sense of curiosity. Had they uncovered yet another hidden arsenal? Or was there something else, something even more profound, that the Vetraxians needed to share? Torres entered the council chambers alone, met by the somber gaze of Elder Harvix and the other council members. Harvix gestured for her to sit, his expression unreadable but his glow a steady blue, signifying respect. Captain Torres, he began, you have earned our trust, and we are grateful for the strength you have shown in helping us dismantle the fears that once clouded our judgment. But there is something more we must share, something that has remained hidden, not out of secrecy, but out of necessity. Torres listened intently, her curiosity piqued. Please go on, Elder Harvix. The Elder's glow flickered briefly, a sign of his inner conflict. The weapons we dismantled were a response to our fears. Yes, but there is another reason, one that touches on our deepest history and the nature of Siraxis itself. You see, Siraxis is more than just our home. It is the foundation of our entire species' existence. We are bound to this world in ways that go beyond biological dependence. Torres furrowed her brow. I'm not sure I understand. Harvix nodded solemnly. Our ancestors were once explorers, much like your own. When they discovered Siraxis, they found it to be unlike any other planet. The crystalline formations, the bioluminescent flora, the entire ecosystem, it is all interconnected, a network of energy that spans the entire planet. This energy, this web of light as we call it, sustains us, not just physically but spiritually. Our glow, our very essence, is linked to Siraxis. Torres was silent, absorbing the magnitude of Harvix's words. She realized that this connection to Siraxis was the foundation of the Vetraxians' peace, their unity, and their reluctance to leave their world. But she sensed there was more. Harvix continued, his voice filled with reverence. The web of light is a powerful force, and it is alive. It responds to our emotions, our intentions. When we act in fear or aggression, it dims, weakening. But when we embrace peace and unity, It flourishes, providing us with strength and longevity. This is why we fear war and violence, not just for the damage it would do to us physically, but for the harm it would inflict upon Siraxis itself. A profound silence filled the chamber. Torres understood now why the Vetraxians had been so desperate to maintain peace, even to the point of concealing weapons. Their very existence was bound to the harmony of their world, a balance that could be shattered by the discord of war. Torres spoke softly, her tone filled with respect. "Elder Harvix, I understand now. Thank you for sharing this with me. I see why you hesitated to reveal the weapons, and I respect the weight of this decision." Harvix's glow brightened, a sign of his gratitude. "We trust you, Captain Torres, and humanity. Together we have shown that peace is not a weakness, but a strength. And with this alliance we believe that the web of light can extend beyond Siraxis, fostering a network of peace across the galaxy." In the months that followed, the alliance between humanity and the Vetraxians grew stronger. Their partnership became a beacon of hope for other civilizations, inspiring similar efforts toward demilitarization and peacebuilding. Siraxis became a destination for diplomats and leaders from across the galaxy, who came to learn from the Vetraxians' philosophy and witness the beauty of their world firsthand. The web of light, as Elder Harvix had described it, seemed to flourish under this newfound unity. The Vetraxians' glow grew stronger, and their bioluminescence became a symbol of peace and connection, inspiring others to seek harmony with their own worlds and neighbors. Captain Torres, reflecting on her time with the Vetraxians, felt a sense of fulfillment that went beyond any mission she had undertaken before. She had witnessed the power of trust and the courage it took to embrace vulnerability in the name of peace. And she knew that this was only the beginning, the first step toward a galaxy where peace was not an ideal, but a living, breathing reality. As Torres prepared to leave Siraxis, she was honored with a final gift from the Vetraxians, a small, glowing crystal from the heart of the planet, a piece of the web of light itself. Harvix presented it to her with a solemn blessing. "Captain Torres," he said, "may this light guide you and remind you of what we have achieved together. You carry with you a part of Siraxis, and our hopes for a peaceful galaxy." Torres accepted the crystal, its gentle glow a testament to the strength of their alliance. She felt the weight of their trust, and the responsibility to honor it. As she boarded her ship and looked back at the shimmering beauty of Siraxis, she knew that this was not the end of their journey, but the beginning of a legacy that would light the way for generations to come. And as her ship lifted off, the glow of the crystal in her hand matched the radiant glow of Siraxis, a beacon of peace shining across the galaxy.